Hey everybody, Greg with RC Driver here, and thank you for checking in to episode number 7 of our Get Into RC Videos series. Now, in episode number 5, we talked about the difference between on-road and off-road. Episode number 6 was kit versus ready to run. So episode number 7 is nitro or electric, and which one should you choose? Now, I know a lot of people, when they walk into a hobby shop, they want the coolest, fastest thing that the shop has. And, you know, they kind of lean towards like looking at a nitro car. So there's a lot of stuff to a nitro car, and I'm not saying you shouldn't get into RC in a nitro car, but there's some things you should be aware of that you should consider ahead of time before you pick one up. So I'm going to go over both the differences between the electric and the nitro, and at the end, you're really going to have to choose what's best for you, but hopefully this helps you make a decision. All right. So I'm going to talk about ready to runs. Now there are kits and they're a little bit different, but I'm going to make it a little bit more simple by just talking about some ready to runs today. And this here is a Traxxas Slash, and Traxxas Slashes come completely ready to run. They come with batteries and chargers sometimes, and sometimes they don't. This particular kit did not have a battery and charger. But anyway, so when you get a ready-to-run electric vehicle, you get a truck like this. It's all built, the body's painted, the wheels are on and everything, and it usually comes with all the electronics, comes with the radio and the speed controller and the motor. And sometimes they leave a few extra things up for you to purchase, like a charger. Sometimes Traxxas includes a charger, sometimes they include the battery, or you'll have to purchase a battery yourself, and some AA batteries for the radio system. So when you get home, what do? You go and you charge up your battery, you put your AA batteries into your radio system, and after the battery is charged, you could really just turn on your radio, turn on your car, go outside and play, and it's really that easy. There are a few ready to runs out there where where we experienced that the radio system may need a little trim, or the switch is accidentally reversed for the steering or something like that. But it's relatively easy to fix, and you could trim everything out, and in the instruction manual it should tell you how to do that. So electric ready to runs, pretty easy to do. So if you're the type that just wants to go home and turn something on and have it work and have very little hassle, an electric ready to run is probably what you want to take a look at. Electric ready to runs can be fast, they can be a lot of fun, they could do some massive jumps. So there's really nothing to deter you from picking up an electric ready to run. And of course, they're always upgradable. You can make them faster later. You can add hop-up parts to them. So it's a fun type of car to get into, really easy. Now, let's talk about nitro. Not saying nitro is not easy, but there's a lot of things to consider here. And when I used to work in a hobby shop, what I would say to people, are you mechanically inclined? Are you okay with making adjustments on the engine? Because that's a must. So when you get a ready-to-run nitro vehicle, the manufacturers do their very best to tune the engine from the factory so it starts up. But there's a lot of different variables that could occur. Elevation change is one thing. So if you're at a higher altitude than somebody else in the country that's getting the same vehicle, the tune of the engine can be a little bit different. Another factor is the fuel. Manufacturers don't know what type of fuel you're going to use, so what they do is they tune the engine the best that they can, so at least it starts up. But there's also the the after break-in period. All nitro engines need a break-in period where the engine will need to be tuned, and you have to be true to yourself, like, will you be able to do that? And the manufacturers, they do provide great instructions on how to do that. But let me just go over some of the things that you're going to need with a nitro car, because it's a little bit more involved than an electric car. So obviously you're going to need the fuel. The ready to run should come with the radio. And some ready to runs like this one, it came with a battery, but you need to buy a charger for the battery. So you got to keep that in mind. You'll probably need AA's for the radio. You'll probably need a fuel bottle to put the fuel into the car. You'll need a tuning screwdriver, and you'll most likely need a glow igniter. And so it's a little bit more work to get this going. You have to charge the battery. You have to charge the glow igniter. You got to go through the break-in process. But in the end, if you feel you're capable of doing it, nitro is a lot of fun. The sound is really cool. The speed is cool. You got the smoke pouring out of the tune pipe. It's pretty awesome. But one thing to keep in mind with that is it is pretty loud. So you have to consider where you're going to drive your vehicle. If you're going to drive it in your small backyard because you have a lot of neighbors around, you might not have too many friends after you drive this around. Where when you take an electric car, it's relatively quiet. There's just a little bit of an electric hum or, you know, sound from the gears, so it doesn't really bother anybody. So just keep that in mind. And finally, my last thought is maintenance. Electric cars can tend to be a little bit easier to maintain. You could take a paintbrush and wipe off any dirt or grass or anything like that. You know, if you do get muddy, get the truck muddy, it is a little bit more intensive to clean it. But there is a little bit more involved in nitro. So with a nitro car, there is, you know, there's oils that are coming out of the engine, and it tends to get all over the chassis, and then that collects a lot of dirt. So you got to keep that in mind. When you're done running at the end of the day, you should really drain the fuel tank and make sure that the engine is at bottom dead center. Just as a good practice. I'm getting probably a little overboard with the tips on it, but there's just a little bit more maintenance involved with a nitro car. So if you're not into the maintenance thing either, maybe electric is your choice of vehicle. Again, I hope this helps you figure out if nitro or electric is better for you. And if you're a pro that's watching and you have any tips, please throw in the comments section below. Help out our friends that are just getting into the hobby. And if you haven't done so yet, please click that subscribe button so you get notified when more of our Get Into RC videos pop up and our other cool videos. And I'll see you next week.